Hey, Discerned listeners, Love is Blind. My name is Dr. Kirk Honda. I'm a therapist and a professor. As I always say, don't use YouTube as a replacement for therapy. If you need a therapist, get one. We all need therapy from time to time. Let's watch.
Wrong in my eyes.
Oh my God.
That's a lie. You could do, that's a lie.
I keep my promises. Like I promised you a surprise, and you got a surprise. It's important for certain reasons that I know what type of rings you like.
I will only tell you if you only are asking one person.
I was gonna bring it up with both of you or none of you.
Why both or none? That makes no sense to me.
I don't know if he's just oblivious or if he is some kind of mastermind or if he is the opposite. He, at first, when he said that he wanted to know her ring size or preference, I don't know, I thought, oh, so she's number one. That's a weird way to introduce that possibility. And then she says, I'm only going to tell you that if you're not asking the other person that question. I think is something along those lines, right? And I'm thinking, well, why would he be asking both women? And then he says, I decided either I'd ask both of you or I would ask none of you. How about none? I wonder if he has a problem with just editing himself. It would be natural. So, as I've said before with him, there's a logic there of, hey, if it's day 9 or 8 out of 10, and he's like, well, I'm definitely going to ask one of them to marry me. And I truly do not know which one. And I feel really bad about hurting people in this process, but I just don't know what to do. And I am going on faith that I will eventually know. I'll figure it out. Okay, that's all logical. We've seen other people in those shoes. And then he thinks, well, I should probably get a jump on the ring thing because it takes a while for that to materialize. It sounds like I know this, I've heard this before from people, from cast members, and I think also from my contact on the show, that they will ask for a ring from the staff. The staff will get it, right? And they have to pay for it, I think. There's certain things that the show will pay for, like they pay for the wedding. And they also give the cast member like a little bit of money for crossing certain thresholds. Not much, but a little bit. And the ring, I think they don't buy, right? Because in the Seattle season, when Marshall got a ring for Jackie and he wanted the ring back, there was a lot of talk of, well, if he bought the ring, then getting the ring back so at least he could hawk it would be fair. And why is Jackie keeping it? And then I think we learned that he didn't actually spend his own money on it. I think Jackie still should have given the ring back. That's my memory, but who knows? Anyway, so if that's all true, either way, even if well, of course it wouldn't matter if the show bought it because he has so much money, which makes me think that they do have them spend on it. Because if they have the show, then there's probably a limit. Anyway, but so I could see that being a logical thought process for someone in his position. It's like, well, I know I'm going to ask one, and so I need to know their ring situation so that I can get the ring in time for the eventual one. But emotionally, the way it comes across is hurtful. 1, 2, it is bringing the topic up again when you're just trying to get to know each other, and it puts the elephant in the room.
Because I'm split. Look, if you're to be proposed to, you seem like the kind of person who would want to have discussed rings. I think that's something that's really important.
Yeah, I can't tell if he's oblivious or what. I don't. It's starting to look like the situation with the money, where the more he keeps introducing it out of left field, it's starting to look like when we have deficits or relational traumas from our past, our defenses will often try to overcompensate in the present for that ongoing pain until we resolve that pain sufficiently. So if you have an injury that says you're inferior and insignificant, then you are going to have an active defense that will counteract that, overcompensate by convincing yourself and others that you are superior and very relevant. And the problem is that to focus on that will eclipse other concerns that are vying for your executive control, but also you're going to put other people off. You're going to harm others through your need to defend against this inner pain. And so I don't know if that's what we're seeing here, of the money bragging and then now having to frequently highlight and sort of, I don't want to say bask, but he doesn't seem to, I've said this before, but I think they are encouraged to wait until day 10 in the pods to commit. But we've seen a lot of people on the show won't do that. I think particularly in a situation like this, I don't know if we've seen a situation like this where someone likes two different people and they wade through so much mud, if you will, without saying, okay, look, I would like more time, but this is ridiculous. I just have to make a choice, or I need to choose nobody because I can't go another date with hurting these people. I have to pull the ripcord or pull the trigger or pull something, pull my finger. I have to pull my finger. and the answer will come out of my butt. What?
Yeah, but not when my husband is asking another person the same question.
Right. But I'm also not.
That's like
I'm not
so
also.
not normal.
I know. I get not wanting to answer it, and I don't dock that against you at all. But I wanted to.
I mean, at this point, if you're Brittany, you got to be thinking, okay, there's something different about this guy. I don't know if it matters how much money he has. There's other sugar daddies out there. There are plenty of sugar daddies in the sea, and this sugar daddy is annoying me.
At least give you the option.
Let me ask you this then.
Sure.
Do you think you even want to do that to either of us?
Yes. Absolutely. I'm literally ready to. I'm really there with like both, but.
Yeah, so I didn't think this at first because there's been a lot of people in this scenario where they have two people. We have someone this season as well, someone that I imagine a lot of people like, I'm guessing, Marissa. She comes across as a very, thus far, I can never tell. Sometimes I'm wrong, but, sometimes you just don't know. So on one hand, I've been trying to give him the benefit of the doubt. I've had my concerns about his bragging and his insertion of his Rolex watch into conversation. I've been critical of that. I've been critical of it because it is an example of our culture of materialism and wealth preference and elitism and classism that causes so many problems in our society and societies around the world. There's probably very few societies where classism, elitism isn't a massive problem. Materialism. The United States is quite possibly the most materialistic society that's ever lived, and we're only getting worse. For people today who will claim that they're not materialistic, people who are below average materialistic today, and could just be old man shakes fist at society, but my personal opinion is that people who are legitimately below average materialism today would be considered extremely materialistic in 1980, for example. It's a problem, and he is a product of it. He wouldn't be leaning into wealth and Rolex if the culture didn't do this to him and to all of us, right? He's a product of that. So that's why I'm so upset about. He represents something that is really quite problematic. And I've struggled with it too. I've talked about it before. A really important moment in my development was when I was in early high school, and a teacher, a friend of the family, was driving me to school, and I disparaged my football coach for working at a labor job downtown Issaquah at the Dairy Gold milk plant. And I said, oh yeah, that's my football coach, and he has this like really bad job. I can't remember what I said, but I was disparaging him for having a low-class job. And I was like 13, 14. The teacher told my parents sat me down and very firmly, not abusive, they weren't abusive about it, but they were very clear that was not okay. It was immoral, it was harmful, it was wrong-headed, it was classist, and not the value that they were trying to impart upon me. And they only had to say like half a sentence into that whole lecture for me to go, oh, yes, what? That isn't really my value, but I had been absorbing society, and maybe by the age of 13, 14, I started to exhibit it. But anyway, it's a problem, and I think we all need to look at ourselves, and he represents that. So when he started to figure out between Brittany and Hannah, my impulse was to continue down that road of criticism. But as a therapist and as a human, I've learned that I have to question my impulses. And just because he does have a part of his personality that in terms of the edit is worth criticizing, that doesn't mean that he doesn't contain multitudes, as we all do. And it doesn't mean that everything he does is negative. And when I see people and content providers have that kind of trend where they decide, oh, you are in the bad category, therefore everything you do is bad. Or in politics, that happens all the time. I instantly lose respect for that content provider or that person. Not tremendously, but I don't really believe their take on things because they have shown that they don't have nuance. So I was at first defending him, I guess, from what I imagined to be criticism. But now it's starting to look like he also is basking in this situation, that he has two women that want to be with him. I think Brittany really wants to be with him, and I think Hannah just casually wants to be with him. And we also saw a date in which Hannah and Nick said they loved each other. So it would fit with the data that has been presented in the edit. Not that it represents anything close to enough data for diagnosing, but it does revolve around a personality construct called narcissism of wanting to be the center of attention, having your need for narcissistic supply eclipsing your empathy for other people. People with narcissism do have empathy, contrary to what the internet will say and contrary to what even some clinicians will say. They have the capacity for empathy, like all of us, but they are eclipsed from it because they're terrified of irrelevance and inferiority, which drives 99% of their behavior during the day. They also have a proto-empathy because they have rarely practiced it because they have been so anxiously desperate to uphold their superiority, at least in their own mind. So, or he is the sort of person that just calls out the elephant in the room. No one ever guided him on how to edit himself, or he was punished for being hidden about certain things, and so he never hides any thought in his head. I don't know.
Look, it's all I can do is like...
I don't like this at all. I kind of just want to leave.
You can go because I can't stop you, but like, obviously I want you to stay. I know it sounds fucking cheesy, but like, I'm here with you. Like...
Yeah, but in 2 hours, you're going to be there with someone else.
It's like part of this experiment.
Yeah, on paper, he is right. But emotionally, he doesn't know how to navigate this. He should just not have brought it up. And I guess you could go even as far as he wants to rub her face in it, which would be diabolical. That's going far. It's possible, but unlikely, but we'll add it to the list.
And I know that's really tough to hear. So would you feel comfortable with me just choosing one? I think I know what you like.
Wait, oh, he's talking about rings. I thought he was asking, would you be comfortable with me choosing one of you? No, he means ring. Is this another signal that he's wealthy? He has this practice, or he wants to show off? Of course he does, right? Of course he is probably very interested in buying what looks, so that Italian word, wherever the fuck that word was, he wants it to come across like the ring is just casually designed and bought, but when you really look at it, it is extremely expensive, you know.
What do you think I would want?
Well, we're going to start with vibe. I think you want a big rock, but still a simple design.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, first, I'm thinking that she's asking and she's defeated. She's saying, well, what do you think I would want? And she is almost dissociating in this moment of just getting away. And then as he starts to answer, I'm thinking, actually, given that she said she is obviously a trophy wife and that she wants a very wealthy man to marry, yeah, of course she thinks along the lines of how impressive and expensive and large the rock is on her finger. And when he says what she would want, then she brightens up, which might mean that they're a good match. But we could also apply the same problem of materialism, sexism. I'm going to guess that she has been told because she's a woman, or maybe because she's blonde or something, that the only worth she has is as a trophy wife, that she is not a worthy career person, that she doesn't have a brain. She has said as much. I don't know where that comes from.
A big rock, but still a simple design.
Yeah, I do.
I think you want it to be like, in a way, kind of like a classic, like clean engagement ring that's like kind of like maybe like a little bit like of a thinner band, because you're like I imagine,
I'm wondering why they're including this whole conversation in the edit. It's purposeful, right? So this might be going somewhere, or it pays off later. That's what I'm guessing.
I feel like I'm doing well, and maybe I'm jinxing myself by trying to guess too much.
What?
I feel like you'd like either a square or an oval.
Oval.
I swear to God, I was like, part of me wanted to just say oval, but I wanted to like...
Well, there's only a handful, maybe, of different cuts that you would propose. You know, I don't know the names, but the classic circle, the oval, and then the square. So the fact that you said 2 out of the main 3 and one of them happens to be the one that she wanted is not like some kind of strange thing.
Like, I know what you want. Like, I really know you. Like, and you know me. Like, I felt like I could have picked something for you.
You're pretty spot on.
Thank you.
It's like I didn't even have to tell you.
It's almost like we didn't have to have this conversation. I should have trusted my fucking gut.
It's okay.
Can we pretend that I never asked?
Yeah.
Thanks. Just pretend my blanket is like cuddling you and like making you 25% less mad right now.
So it could just be the romance of ring talk, or this could be another tick in the column of what her relational traumas involve, that money and expenditure for her, to her, is one of the main or only ways that she was given love as she was growing up. And as the conversation returns to that, she temporarily feels that fulfillment of, oh, I'm being loved right now, because that's the only way that I'm worthy of being loved, or the only way that love is communicated to me, or the only way that love happens in the world, which is when people buy me things.
Exactly what you want.
He's done that. This is the 3rd time. I don't think I've included it in the edit. He did it with Brittany, and then he did it with Hannah, and now he's doing it with Brittany again. Editor, if you're watching, you don't have to show us everything.
Torn between me and another person, because I could never feel like that. Like, I literally could never.
Yes.
I feel like it's such an unhappy conversation that I'm gonna resent it either way. That sounds like so bratty, but it's just an energy thing. I feel like I'm gonna be reminded of this.
It's not like I wouldn't be grateful. I would like feel this way.
Yeah, that is something to think about, and she's smart to think about that and smart to say it, which is that even if he does choose her, she's never going to forget that for a time he was very, very much at the same time as him being in love with her, he was in love with someone else. And it can really challenge, not everyone, plenty of people on this show will just, it's sort of like when in the real world we fall in love with someone and we start to reckon with their past dating life, maybe even their past, maybe they were married before, at the very least heavily involved with other people in the past, physically and emotionally. And you have to wrestle with that on some level. For some people, it's just nothing. I was almost going to say it's a nothing burger. I don't understand that. It's a weird idiom that makes a lot of sense to me, but I don't know why. Anyway, for some people, it's a nothing burger, whatever that comes from, whatever that means. For others, it's very hard for them to reckon with that. Often for anxiously attached people, preoccupied attached people, it is particularly difficult because they have been betrayed, they have been abandoned, they have been passed over for other people. And to have that in their head that the love of their life has loved other people, even though it was in the past, can be really hard. Plus, if you go through relational traumas, you have a hard time with the concept of time, the way that young children will have a difficulty with the concept of time. And so even though it happened 10, 20 years ago, it gets compressed into the now, right? And it feels like a threat, even though it's not. So, there's a wide variety of people. And so for some of us in the real world, outside of this show, there can be moments where we need to be careful about what we make our partners reckon with, if you will. Like if you have you fall in love and you have some old videos and photos on Instagram or something of you and your former partner. Do you take those down? Do you leave them up? I think a lot of people will take them down, right? A lot of people take them down soon after breaking up. But it's stuff like that, right? To your partner, they might be totally fine with the fact that you've dated before, that you've had sex with other people before. But to see the concrete evidence of it, right? Like an extreme example would be, well, I'll just talk about for myself. Let's see where this goes. I know that my wife had sex before she had sex with me. That's like kind of a double disclosure. I imagine people knew that my wife and I had sex. I'm probably going to cut all this out. But why can't we talk about that? Anyway, so I know that she had sex before she met me. That doesn't bother me at all. But if I were to see a video of that, then, that would do something to me, right? It would screw with my head. It would stay in my head. So along those lines, for her, she has to have that stuck in her head for all eternity, that there was this other woman that he was really in love with. And for her to say that points to sincerity, that she genuinely is emotionally attached, not just interested in the money part of it, but is emotionally invested, right? And we can't imagine Hannah saying that or feeling it, which is interesting that he doesn't detect that. So then that makes me wonder if he is kind of keeping Hannah around because it gives him that status of lots of women wanting to be with him. And we can't overlook also that a large part of the social context for the cast members is the lounge socializing, right? And a lot of people are comparing notes, right? And everyone knows that he has two women that want to be with him, right? And that could also be a bonus that one might be seeking and might be engineering, right? I don't know. There's also a possibility it's just hard for him to decide between two women. It's happened before. It's Marissa is trying to decide between Bowden and Ramses. I don't know. I'm rambling.
This way.
Do you think that if we get engaged and we get married, that this is something that you'll always like feel kind of like, I guess, self-conscious about? That I was this torn?
I don't know.
I don't know what motivates his questions. I guess it's a relevant question, but what's the goal here? Or is this his way of trying to suss out the right person to be with? I also wonder if he wants to be with Hannah because Hannah just doesn't put any pressure on him at all. Either because she's easygoing or because she's just simply really not into him, even though he was her number one. The way that she talks about the money thing and other kinds of things, I wonder if he just likes that easy, and maybe that's a factor. But to me, as a civilian watching this, it looks like Brittany is really into him and Hannah isn't.
That's how you think you may feel, you know. That's like good to know, because I don't think that that wouldn't be a good foundation for a marriage.
I think I would feel that way, but honestly, I guess I cannot fault you. I hate you so much.
No, you don't, but you hate how I'm making you feel.
I didn't understand what she said. I'm going to have to turn on the subtitles. Let's rewind that.
Honestly, I guess I cannot fault you. I hate you so much.
That went by pretty fast. I think she said, I can't fault you. Let's rewind that.
That wouldn't be a good foundation for a marriage.
I think I would feel that way, but honestly, I guess I
cannot fault you. Okay.
cannot fault you. I hate you so much.
No, you don't, but you hate how I'm making you feel.
It's fine.
No, you don't, but you hate how I'm making you feel. Yeah, okay.
Okay, so tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
What happens?
All right, that makes me think this is day 9. It is the day before day 10, because that's how numbers work. And they are all expecting that the proposals will be happening on day 10.
I have no fucking idea. I don't know. I really don't know.
Sometimes I wonder about the musical songs that they play in between, and I don't usually have the subtitles on, but when I do, I pay more attention to the lyrics. Maybe these are top 40 songs, and I just don't listen to top 40, or they are using songs that are very fitting to the situation, and there's just a whole slew of songs that people will write and record that various different outfits can use, whether it's reality TV or something else. Or the show hires people to write particular songs with particular lyrics, because the lyrics are sometimes really on the nose and kind of cheesy. Choose your, what did it say? Right, he says, I really don't know what I'm going to do. Choose your path and choose your life. You are in the pods and you have to choose between 2 women that are named Brittany and Hannah. Choose your path and choose your life. All right, well, let's adjourn there. I want to remind everyone that we have merch available. You can click the link below. We have some new merch for you Umberto fans. We have some new stuff. Rebecca, also, we have a shirt for her, a theme of Rebecca. Also, there's one for Bob. And there's just a lot of designs that Stacy has designed if you want to check those out. And everyone out there, please take care of yourself because you deserve it. You really, really do.